links to things that could help you during your teletherapy sessions. Don't think you have to know everything that's in here. It's only here as a resource for you to help you when you're like, oh, how do I do a Google Classroom? Or, oh, how do I add that Bitmoji to whatever? So these are just resources for you. I've been doing teletherapy through an outside clinic since March, and I've learned a few things along the way. So hopefully these things will also help you in your new venture this year. By the end of the session, you guys are no longer going to look like the person in the top of the slide right here. Hopefully you'll feel like this and feel less confused and less overwhelmed, and the world will be full of color again. If you are in here, if you could please mute your mics. You can have your videos on or off. These are really just the expectations for my Zoom meetings with my students. We're going to use the chat if you have any questions, and I hope you have fun and learn a couple of things along the way. I'm sorry, I'm admitting people as we are going through.
I'll kind of watch them too. Yeah.
Thank you. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is some tricks with Zoom. There's somebody in the waiting room, Mary, that I learned that I'm going to try to share with you, just so that when you set up your first virtual meeting, that you feel comfortable and you're not fumbling through it like I was in the beginning. You can set up Zoom a couple of different ways. I'm going to set mine up through Therapy Log because I know it's HIPAA compliant, correct? And yes, I can create one link for all of my families to access. So this isn't going to, I'm not going to teach you how to set up your Zoom link. Just know that there's several different ways to do it. And I personally like setting it up through Therapy Log. And that's also what we've been doing in private practice. Once you're in your Zoom meeting, you can share your screen just like we are sharing the screen now. And there's a couple of things I want you to know in share screen when you're doing your teletherapy. At the top of the Zoom screen, there's a black bar. It says mute, stop video, security, blah, blah, blah. And on the very far right, there are 3 little buttons, and this is kind of important. When you hover over those buttons, you're going to see something that says share computer sound. There's somebody in the waiting room, Mary. If you don't share your computer sound and you're trying to share a video, your family's not going to hear the video. So I find this the easiest way to share your sound. There have been many meetings where I've been doing teletherapy and the family's like, I can't hear it because I forgot to share the computer sound. So you just click over those 3 little dots and click on share computer sound, and then you can share the computer sound. There is the ability to share the mouse. So if I click on remote control and I'm going to share my mouse with Teresa, Teresa now has the ability to manipulate my screen. And Teresa, when we get to a boom card, I think I'm going to share the mouse with you. So that's Teresa moving.
That's me. And I had to accept. I had a little pop-up that came to me that I had to click on to accept that. Yeah. Do I give it back or do you take it back?
And then I always tell my kids hands up, so they let go of it. And then I can take away the control by hitting mouse and then abort control. So.
And Mary, where did you say that was again? Somebody was asking.
So yeah, I'm sorry. I have to go back to that slide. I got a little excited over here. Okay. It is at the top of so when you guys hit share screen on Zoom, there's going to be a black bar that pops up that's kind of a oval shape. And in the bar, it says mute, stop video, security, participants, new share, annotate, remote control, and more. When you click on the remote control, that's where you have the ability to share your mouse. So if you're doing a group with somebody, you can share your mouse with one or all of the people in your group. So remote control gives you the mouse control. And then to abort the control, you would hit remote again, and then do abort control. And then to the right of that are 3 little dots, and that's where you share the computer sound, which when I show you some other slides, it'll be important. If you have questions, go ahead and write them in the chat, and then we'll get back to them at the end of this slide. We'll answer some questions. In this also, in that black bar that pops down that you hover over, there's something called annotate. if you click on annotate, it brings up another bar and you can write on the computer. So when I go to Boom Cards, I'll show you how this is important. If you have a client or a student who doesn't have the ability to get mouse control. So I have a family that they have a phone and that's their technology, and that's what they've got. What I do is I would, like, say we're playing a memory game. I would just write 1 and 2, and then the little girl tells the mom which card, and then I flip over the number that she tells me. So you can annotate on the screen. If I want to highlight something like this is our Tools to Grow password, I would highlight that for you guys. So annotation is really important, especially if you have a student who can't accept mouse control or can't handle the mouse control. You can do anything on here to identify what you want them to answer. Or if they're looking at your screen and they're like, I can't see the word websites, you can like, oh, it's down here, I'm circling it in pink. So the annotation feature is really important for teletherapy to help you guide your students. And then also if they can't control the mouse or if they don't have the output to control it, then you can help them by annotating the activity that you're doing with them. If you annotate, in that same bar where the annotation comes up, there's a little trash can that says clear, and you're going to want to clear all your drawings because they'll go to the next slide. And then you want to click the X so you get your mouse back and you get rid of that little pen. I keep going back to slides when there's going to be a lot of clicking and dragging. So when I'm doing that, you guys don't let it give you a headache. I apologize ahead of time. In this also screen sharing part, there's a whiteboard. So you would click on your little bar that pops up. And if you click on new share, can you guys see this?
No.
It comes with whiteboard. You can click on the whiteboard and hit share. And if they have mouse control, they can do this with you at the same time. So let's say I want to play tic-tac-toe. That wasn't very good, but I could draw a tic-tac-toe board and they can write on it with you if they have mouse control. And that's totally up to you. If you want them to practice handwriting on here, big line down, slide down, across. Oh, you made an A. So you can use the whiteboard for therapy sessions too. And it's all built into Zoom. You don't need to have a separate whiteboard app. I'm gonna clear that out and I'll close that up too. Okay, I'm gonna stop that share. Okay, I'm going back to a new share, sorry about that. Hello everybody, that was frightening to see so many faces. Okay, personally, there's somebody else in the waiting room again. Personally, last year we in Parkway did Google Meet and I was used to doing Zoom. I just found Google Meet better. It was more interactive. It had more choices. They've upgraded it so that if you're doing a small group and you have maybe a TA helping you, you can set up a breakout room. So the TA can go to a different room. You can work with one student and then you guys can come back virtually and discuss what you did. So Zoom for me is I feel like it has more activities in it. I don't actually have a stopping point here, Mary, but I'm going to stop and see if there's any questions. I feel like that was a lot.
There are some that were coming through in the chat, Mary.
Okay. Can you guys read them to me?
Sure.
Because the next thing I'm going to show you is going to blow your mind. So let's answer these questions and I'm going to show a mind-blowing hack.
There's a quick question I can answer. Somebody was saying, can I still set up Zoom through Therapy Log, even if I'm not using Therapy Log for documentation? And the answer is yes for that. We have a funding question we'll answer later. Can students annotate as well or
Yes.
just click?
No, they can annotate. Teresa, let me just pause.
Yeah.
In order for your student to annotate, you need to give them mouse control and then they can annotate as well.
Can the whiteboard be printed for data?
That is something I don't know. But you could print screen it or you could snip it. So yes, you can,
yeah.
You can use this. There's a thing within your Windows 10 or Windows 7 even called a snipping tool. This is probably the easiest way. I know how to do it, Teresa, but it looks like this, if you guys can see that. And then when it's not showing. Well, there, do you see this down here? This is called a snipping tool. If you click on new, it's going to come up and make your screen all whatever, and you can highlight a portion of it, and then it will save that portion into your picture file or your download file. So you can use a snipping tool to snip your whiteboard and have it as data.
Somebody said, I heard that students can't access breakout rooms from Chromebooks. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know the answer to that. It might depend. I'll find out.
Some of our implementation has been like that across any platform. It depends what the student's operating off of, an iPad, a Chromebook, a MacBook, whatever. Some of the functionality may vary a little bit. Or if your district, well, I don't know, if you're going through therapy log, I guess that wouldn't be our problem. I would say if their district has something locked down on their device that doesn't allow something.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll ask because we were doing breakout rooms in my Parkway schools this week, and I don't know if they were doing them on laptops or Chromebooks. So I'll find out and we can send it out.
And someone said, can you show the mouse control again?
Sure. Okay, so I'm in, I don't know, can you guys see the black bar that I'm highlighting or not?
I personally don't, but that just
no, I don't see. No.
Yeah, I think the problem is that you can't see it unless you're sharing, unless you're the screen sharer. So I'm going to have to try to describe it to you the best way that I can. When you open up Zoom, at the bottom, there will be a green rectangle that says share screen. Click on the green rectangle and a bar is going to pop up. It looks like a kind of a long rectangle. And the bar is black, so I feel like they should make it yellow to make it easier on the eyes. But there's this black bar that pops up, and it has many choices on it. On the far right, it'll say remote control. It doesn't say mouse. And if you click on, who asked the question? I'll give them the mouse.
It was, I think, Jennifer Van Cardo.
Okay, if I can find her, I'll give her the mouse. No, she's not popping up in my. We'll try it one more time. You can search people in the meeting. That's pretty exciting. Okay, who I don't know. I will just give it to Sue Lackey. Sue, do you have the mouse?
I don't know, do I?
I gave it to you. You should be able to write on my
I have it. Yes, I have it.
You'll get an option.
I did remote control and I gave it to Sue. And when you see this little arrow going on my screen now, Sue's controlling my screen.
When you say you gave it to Sue, when you click on that remote control, do you have to click on something else or the person's name is just there and you clicked on my name?
Yeah, the person's name is just there and I clicked on your name.
Okay.
As an answer to,
go ahead.
As an answer to one of our questions, Mitzi said that her area coordinator in Parkway said that breakout rooms work on Chromebook.
Oh, good. Thanks, Mitzi. Okay, any more questions or should I move on to the hack that I learned last night that blew my mind?
Yeah, let's go ahead and blow some minds. Sue Cobb, that remote control is up on the bar. That little, whenever Sue's asking where the remote control is.
It's in that black bar that I can't really show you.
It's the controls you'll get once you share your screen.
I'm going to try this really quickly. I had it set up earlier and then I did some stuff. So if it doesn't work, I'm going to move on. 2507. Okay, so some of you guys have an Osmo Play, an Osmo Base, and the mirror. So this is from my Osmo. I learned this last night because I was like, I really want a .cam, but I didn't want to hold my phone up and I just couldn't figure out how to make it work for me where I could have a digital tool and my desktop over here. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the share. I'm gonna do a new share, 1 second. So I have my iPad. Can you guys see that on the screen?
Not yet, but maybe it's slow loading.
It has a lag to it. That's kind of annoying. It's got an annoying lag to it.
It's a good point to make though. Whenever you're doing any of these sessions, sometimes you think that what you see is what they see and your student you just need a minute to let it load.
Yeah, that's true. it takes a second. So this is why I'm going to show you this. Okay, let's just pull up a digital. This is not what I want.
What did you use to create this PowerPoint, Mary? That was a question.
Google Slides. Okay, so say you have your projector up and you want them to maybe do a digital activity, but also have a manipulative. And I'm opening a boom card, which we're going to get to shortly, but just so you guys can see. So this therapy plan in boom cards, all disclosure, I made these and I sell them. So I'm not asking you to buy my boom cards, but that's not about this. Let's say you're doing a monster therapy session and you want to do a manipulative. So I have the monsters on the bed. Is that upside down for you or right side up? It's not showing. It takes a second. Oh, there it is. So here's that was like a 3-second delay, you guys. So say you like are doing an activity and then you want them to like answer a question, and then every time they answer a question, you're like, oh, you earned a monster. You could maybe play this monster game and then give them the monster in the bed. So you could have a digital activity on the left and then a manipulative on the right. It's like a 5-second delay. By the time I take it away, you'll see the monster bed that goes on the bed. There it is. So keep that in mind when you're working with kids too, like Teresa said, there is a delay. You could get Play-Doh out and have them roll the Play-Doh and then tell them how you want them to shape it. So this like blew my mind last night. So it's a document cam with an iPad and an Osmo and a computer app called Reflect 3. And there I am making Play-Doh with the kids. There are other ways to do dot cams, but for me, this just made the most sense. It was easiest to set up and easiest to manipulate. Are there any questions about that? Okay.
Can you repeat how you did it?
Yeah, I can tell you.
So how did you get the iPad on the share?
Yeah. Okay, so I have this thing called Osmo. It comes with apps. It's really just a mirror camera. I know that many therapists have it because the apps that you can get with Osmo are really great for therapy and they're engaging for the students. So it's this, and then it's a base. And then the iPad goes in the base, and then the mirror goes on the Osmo. So the website, if you guys want to write this down, is playosmo.com. I'll actually have it in the slide. I have it in the slideshow, playosmo.com. And then they have a free app called Projector. And if you can see it under here, it's in blue. It says www.playosmo.com. So you have to have the app and the Osmo as a tool. And then above it in the pink is the website of the program that I downloaded to integrate the program with the iPad so that you guys could see it. Is that clear as mud? Or do you guys have any other questions about that? It just
the app
kind of
on the iPad or the computer?
The app is for the computer. So the computer, my computer, and not everyone's technology is going to be like this, but my computer has a Bluetooth function. So newer computers should have Bluetooth availability that read to your iPad. If it doesn't, you should be able to hook on a cord and have it and do it that way with just a cord.
We have somebody sharing an option that if they did not have access, whether it be funding or skills or whatnot, to be able to do of this version, if they had to go lower tech, they would using a laundry basket or a locker shelf to something that has slots in it, like waffle slots, and then put your iPhone or an iPad and line up the camera so that it's in one of those slots. to create an overhead projector, and you would just plug your cord into your iPhone or whatever you have and project down if you can't get to anything else.
That's awesome. I love that. That's awesome. I know there are videos on YouTube that can tell you like how to turn your phone into a dot cam. So, okay, the original topic of this Ed Camp was boom cards. So I'm going to go to boom cards and be respectful of your time. We might not get through the rest of the handouts, but really they're just resources for you guys. And you can always email me or email Teresa or Mary with questions.
Email Mary Hackworth.
You can email Mary Hoffman. You can certainly email me if you have questions. Like if you're going through the document, like, oh, how do I do da 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 da?
Straight to that professional's mouth.
Okay, here we go. So boom cards are just interactive flashcards. They are things that you can use in your therapy session that are engaging for your students. You can organize them. To access Boom Learning or to get Boom cards, you don't have to have a membership. It's free to buy Boom cards. You can get Boom cards off Teachers Pay Teachers, or you can go to the Boom Learning site and buy them there. On the Boom Learning site, they're by points. So every deck has a value of points. You buy like 500 points and you can get 2 or 3 decks off of the Boom site. You can get a membership. The highest membership level allows you to create your own products and publish them in the store. And if you guys are used to like making Google Slides or other type of digital tools that you've been using in teletherapy, you could definitely create your own Boom decks. You can create your Boom decks for your own learning, or you can create them and try to sell them on the store. I just really learned about this recently, and I use them every therapy session, the Boom cards. You can organize them in your library, which I'll show you. You can have a classroom in Boom and assign students to certain cards. If you have a deck that you purchased, you can take some cards out if you want to grade it down or grade it up. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with the Boom cards. You can link them to your Google Classroom, and you can link them directly if you're using Schoology as a learning management system. You can link them directly to your Schoology page. So we're going to go to the Boom site, and then I'm going to show you how I linked it to my Schoology page. Now, before I show you my Schoology page, just don't freak out. You don't have to do what I did. Okay, here's my Schoology page. If you go down, and I'm not going to show you anything about how to set this up today. That's not the purpose of this.
That'd be a Bitmoji Ed Camp.
That would be a Bitmoji Ed Camp. And I'm really not that good. I just really watched YouTube videos and learned how to do it that way. Okay, you go to materials, and all my little students are in here. This is what we're doing on August 24th, a back to school theme. If I click that, and I go to like kindergarten, there's the link, and it's going to take you directly to my therapy activities for that session. And it's going to link directly to my Boom card, and I don't have to go anywhere else. So there's the session that I'm doing with my back to school kids. Hit next. It just tells you what you're doing in the session. So the same way I linked it to my Schoology account, you guys can do the same thing in a Google Classroom, and it'll load to your Boom decks. I'm going to pause there. That I felt like that was a lot. Are there any questions so far?
Got a darn that's cool comment.
Yeah, I haven't. Normally I travel in the summer. This summer I played with my computer. So when you go to, so when you guys go to Boom Learning, it's going to look like this. www.boom. Also, I just want to tell you guys, when you're doing Zoom and you're sharing your screen, make sure you have like all your personal tabs closed. This is just a sidebar. You don't want them to see your personal email or what you bought at Amazon that day or something like that. When you open up Boom cards, you're going to get this. And this is exactly what you'll see the first time you do it. I'm going to log in as a teacher. And there are tons of videos on here that will help you if you get stuck. I don't know if I'm still logged in. Okay, here's my library of all the boom cards I've bought. I've been making a lot of people happy because I have bought a lot over the summer. To the left, or maybe your right, you can see that I've organized them into folders. So if you have students who have more significant needs, you can do ADL boom cards with them. You can do classroom routines. If you have kiddos that are maybe have higher cognitive functioning, you can find executive functioning boom cards. So I feel like there's a boom card for many of your needs. And I'm going to show you like a simple one that I used with kiddos that are like working on kitchen skills. So once if you accrue a lot of boom cards, you can just search your library. So all these are in my library, and I'm going to search kitchen. And I have a kitchen safety boom card in here. Is it safe to use a boom in the oven? Now let's say I click on no. Is it safe to use aluminum foil in the oven? It tells you that they were incorrect. So when you get the right answer, it takes you to the next boom card. So boom cards can be complex or they can be simple. So this is my library. The way they got into my library is by going to the boom store. So up here, I'm going to click on the boom store right here. And throw out a topic of what you would want to do in therapy. I'll search it. Like we could do autism. Let's do autism. Let's see what comes up. You can type in occupational therapy. You could type in visual perception. You can type in easy, and easy boom cards will come up. But you can see that it's a library just full of all of your therapy needs.
Mary, are you feeling like this? I have zero experience with boom cards. But are you feeling like this is comparable to like Boardmaker Online interactive activities, but you know, you didn't have to go through a training and get all that? Like it's just something, activities that have been pre-created by somebody, yeah, and operate similarly?
Yes, I feel like it's more fun than Boardmaker Online. I mean, these are like you get immediate feedback. I think it's easier to access and easier to use. You don't really need any training to use a boom card, whereas a Boardmaker, you had to go through a training. And
right. That's what I was working at. Similar functionality, but what the benefit was you didn't have to like wait to go to a training. You could just use these pretty intuitively. Yeah, they're very intuitive. Exactly. Somebody asked, can you explain the points again? Oh yeah, that's okay. So let's look at this boom card. This one looks easy because I know we have a variety of, oh, let's do this one. This is pretty cute. We have a variety of skill levels within the clients that we serve. So let's say I looked at this boom card. I'm like, oh, that looks really good for one of the goals that I mean for Billy Smith. If you're not sure you want to buy it or purchase it, you can do full-size preview, which is right. Pink's my favorite color, so we're going to circle everything in pink today. You can go to the full-size preview, and you'll see 4 of the first cards in the deck. So this is a digital task box card. I want to play. How many animals on the farm? Let's say I think there's 2. Oops, wrong. Oh, there was only 1. I got it right. Sorry, those. So you can say, I really like this boom card. I want to go ahead and buy this. When you go back to the store, sorry, ignore the clicking. You guys don't need to know what I was doing. When you go back to the store, it'll tell you this card is worth
is costs you 250 points. Right here. Add it to your cart. So I'm going to add that to my cart. I'll go up here to my cart. Do you guys see the icon up here with the little one on it? I'm going to go to my cart, and it's going to tell you how much the cards cost. But I'm going to tell you something else in a minute too. Let me clear out these drawings. Okay, so if that deck, so they call this set of cards a boom deck. And then within the boom deck, there are individual cards. This boom deck was $250, 225 points cost $3. So if I want to buy that, I would have to buy 400 points for $5, and then I would have a balance of 150 to buy something else. So this already has my credit card stored in here, of course. And then it says, do you want to buy it? And then you would click on your card. I'm going to say no for now.
And to be really clear, you will not be reimbursed by SSD to make these purchases. If you do any online purchasing, they don't reimburse. You can't use your low dollar for that. Just to be clear.
Yeah. Now, if to get around that, or to be like, I really want to use these, I don't have a penny to my name, story of my life, you would go up here to the search bar. So right here where my mouse is, and you could type in occupational therapy free. Let's see what happens. There are, I think, 27 or 28, because I downloaded all of them. These are all the free boom decks that you could use. Create your own story, sequencing. So these are just the ones that I did with OT as the definition. But if you want to just do free boom cards, you could just type in free. And there are a lot of speech therapy ones in here that you could maybe use for OT. But you can see there are, I mean, tons and tons and tons of free cards that, I mean, see more. So there is a lot that you can do that doesn't cost you anything. I'm sorry, more decks came up, but there are free boom cards that you can access for your learning. And then when you get really less overwhelmed than we all are right now, you can make your own boom cards. The tutorials in the Help Studio are easy to learn.
We've got a lot of questions coming up around this, Mary, whenever you're ready.
And I think, let me look at the handout really quickly, and then let's go through the questions. Because honestly, when I did teletherapy in the spring, I did a ton of Google Slides, and they were great and they were visually appealing, but they lost that interactive component for the student. With boom cards, they can click on an answer and get immediate feedback. Before I answer those questions, I want to show you guys one quick thing about if they don't have mouse control, like if they can't control, if they don't have any way to control the mouse, I'm going to show you how to annotate that really quickly.
And that was a question.
Okay, I'm reading mines now. All right, so I have this simple visual perceptual activity in here that I bought for one of my little friends that I see on the side. Circle the animal that matches on the top. I'd be like, do you see this animal on the top? Which one? And if they can't read numbers, you could draw shapes. You could do anything to identify the choices. I say, okay, Missy, which one matches? Is it 1, 2, or 3? And hopefully Missy says, oh, it's 2. Let's see if I'm right. So there you go. You use the annotation feature if they can't get the mouse control. Okay, you guys want to go through the questions?
Sure. Someone says, can I share a boom card with my CODA if we're working with the same student, or do we have to purchase separately?
You can share a boom card with your CODA. So if this is my library, this is my library, and I think you can assign it, or you could, oh, let me show you this. Go to
Would they have to have a boom account, Mary? They would each have to have a boom account. Would that, or
yeah, they need to have a boom account, but it doesn't cost any money to use the cards or set up a boom account. The only reason you would purchase a boom account is if you wanted to share with a certain number of students, or if you wanted to create your own or publish your own. So there's 4 different levels of purchases. Free all the way up to $35 a year is the most expensive account. And with $35 a year, you can publish your own boom cards. I'm kind of a visual, I need to click as I go learner. But you can in here share with your coda. And let me refine that answer and I'll get back to you.
Are there any physical therapy related boom cards? Do you know, just in what you've seen?
There are exercise cards in here. So let's go to the store.
Cool.
And let's type in. Sorry, I gotta find the, there it is. I have to find the top of it. We can type in exercise and see what shows up, and then we can type in gross motor and see what shows up. That showed nothing. We can type in physical therapy maybe. There's a couple in there, not very much. This would be a money-making opportunity for you PTs. Let's just type in motor and see what happens.
While you're doing searches too, there's a question about early childhood. It says, do you feel like this is geared more towards school age, or are there early childhood things?
I think you can do it from pre-K on up. If you type in simple, so here's some, I'll go back to that, but if you type in the word simple, easy cards will come up where you can pick like red or blue or yes or no.
Yeah,
you can gear it easily toward early childhood. And I think that they would really like it because it's engaging. It's an engaging therapy tool and should keep people's attention. So I typed in motor and some gross motor games came up. I know there's also yoga in here. Here are some of the, you guys can see here, these are the tools to grow activities that they've put on here as boom cards. So we all have a tools to grow account and they have a digital teaching section, but I find that the boom cards that they loaded are much more engaging than that going to tools to grow, opening up their digital teaching and then doing it that way. These are colorful and they're interactive. There's brain breaks over here. This is pretty exciting. So the word that got the gross motor or PT stuff up was motor. Are there more questions on that?
Yeah, so there's some questions about how these things are interfaced, or maybe it's maybe a terminology thing. So when we talk about interfacing with Zoom, Zoom is your platform, like how you're showing something. It's how you're doing your virtual session, whether it be Zoom or Google Meet are the two primary things that people were using. All these things that Mary's showing, the boom cards, Google Slides, or anything off your desktop, that's the what you're sharing. So somebody was asking about if you just click on a boom card and share, you have to be in what you're doing. Does that make sense, Mary? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, you can, anything that's on your computer, once you hit the share function, you can share anything. So it's not, it's not about.
There's no linking. It's just, you're going to show whatever it is you want to show. It's on your device. You can share. So
yeah.
Mary, that was my question. And as soon as I sent it, I'm like, I know that's not how I meant to ask it. So what I was asking is like, can you link a boom card to a Google slide? Let's say you're going to use a Google slide to format your session. Can I link the boom card to the Google slide?
I know you can link it to a classroom, and I know you can, and I know you can link it to Schoology. You can get a URL from it. So I imagine you can link it to a Google slide. So you can get a URL from the boom card. So I'll get more specifics about that and let you know.
I would think anything you could do a URL link you could put onto a slide.
Yeah, I just have to find the URL link.
It might be a permissions issue too. We've been messing around with trying to create, when we were creating videos and stuff, like we would have to have it housed on a public site so that we could get that URL to put in our thing. So
I'm not sure. We'll have to find out. It might, but you know what? It might just be a matter, Teresa, too, of just having two tabs up. You have your Google slide up and then you have your boom card up. And then you're going between if we can't, like if it's a permissions thing, You have the boom card up that you bought, you have up the Google slide you want to present, and you might just have to toggle back and forth between the two tabs.
This may be a whole separate training, or maybe you can show now. It says, can you show how to add to Schoology? I don't know if that's something that's—
I think we should put that on hold for another training.
Somebody wants to know how much have you spent total, like in all the stuff you've acquired?
I
guess $35, huh?
It was $35 for the year, and I know I've bought a lot of boom cards, but once I started buying them, I felt confident in the ability to create them. So I've made some money. Not a lot, but probably enough to cover my expenses.
That looks like all the questions we have so far.
Okay, let's go back to the, it's 12:47, and I think we want to end by 1, is that correct?
Yeah, let's aim for that, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take off this pink that I love and just tell you guys that the rest of these slides, we're just going to go to the last slide. When you're in Google Slides and you're sharing with a friend, you want to be in present mode. Just to let you know. Okay. Oh, I just lost like Teresa's face and Mary's face. Okay. So these are some more just tools that you guys can use. There is Tools to Grow that we talked about. We have the password for it. There are digital tools on there. I made a list of some videos that I found very helpful. One thing during teletherapy is you just kind of have to watch your student. Now, when I do sessions privately, they're 60 minutes, so they're much longer. I really feel like these 30-minute sessions that you're doing with your friends are going to go by quickly. But if they don't, and your child is losing interest, you could throw on a Go Noodle and do a quick exercise with them. There are some YouTube channels down here created by OTs that have everyday activities. You could just throw that up and do it with the student. So these are just resources for you guys. Just remember when you're doing a video that you want to make sure your sound is on so that they can hear what you're seeing and hearing on your own screen. If you are taking a YouTube video and embedding it in a Google slide, you want to go to the site safetyyoutube.net. I can show you, because this will make the slide safe. So let's see. I'm not going to really. This is just safeyoutube.net. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it was new to me. You put your URL in here and then click generate link, and it'll generate a safe link without any like bad ads. And then here's some other websites that we use that are fun for therapy. There's toytheater.com, where you can find some kind of English as language arts stuff on there that the kids can do. Even though they're games, it's more of an ELA for the kids. There's ABC Yeah. There are Jeopardy Labs is really cool. It's a Jeopardy game, and you can type in self-regulation and a bunch of already made Jeopardy games will come up, and you can play Jeopardy with the kid. There are other Jeopardy games in there that are already created that you don't have to recreate. And then SSD has its own learning hub that I referenced down here, and that has a ton of resources for you for teletherapy. I first started getting interested on Facebook because there are a ton of Facebook groups out there too. There's a telehealth activities group that I referenced for you. And within there, a lot of people have left links that you can just copy and you can use what they already created. So I guess my point is, don't go and recreate the wheel. I would look at resources that are available and just utilize those first, because it will make your life a lot easier. I included a slide on how to make Google Slides. So that's originally how I started doing therapy in the spring. I was just doing Google Slides, and they were great. I mean, I'll show you one. They were fine, but they missed that interactive component of the boom card. So my slides look like this. There was a bear theme. Go to page 2. There was always like these link. So if I click on the orange tab, it goes to my visual perceptual activities. I'm going to go back to my choices. If I click here, I had manuscript activities, and I would either pull up that whiteboard when you share your screen, or they would have a piece of paper. So when I'm doing teletherapy with my clients, all they are required of having is like something to write on and something to write with. Everything else I do digitally. I don't have manipulatives. I don't have glue. Some of my families just don't have things at home. So this was the easiest way for me to pull it together when we were put in that emergency situation. Does anybody have any questions about that before we go to the last few slides?
We just had a permissions question. Mary Hoffman might be able to answer this one. Are we allowed to share activities from Tools to Grow on our Google Slides in our classrooms?
The last that I saw on the permission updates was that you were allowed to share them with individual families, but not post on public sites. So if you're in your platform and you're able to assign, like send an assignment to a specific student, then yes, you could send documents to 10 of your students individually. You just couldn't post it on a site that families are just going to come in and look at, if that makes sense.
Here is how to use Bitmojis. And then somebody had a question on the form about an interactive whiteboard, and I don't really know what that was referencing. I just know that I use the whiteboard within the Zoom app. So if somebody wants to address that or speak on that before we close.
So typically speaking on the EdCamp formats, people like Mary has like gone above and beyond. Like this is like the most premium, wonderful thing, Mary. This is like a great gift for everybody. So there could be some open for dialogue, and we can go past. We can go past an hour for anybody wants to, can't we, Mary Hoffman?
Sure.
Or if Mary Hackworth
this time, yeah.
Mary Hackworth is fine. I just want to share. I want to share really quickly this slide, and then we can talk. Like whatever we can talk. Because Maya Rudolph will probably hopefully be on Saturday Night Live a lot more in the fall. So just remember that Google's your friend. Everything that I showed you guys today, I learned from a video on YouTube. I went to one Parkway training last year and learned how to use Google Slides, and everything else I was like, oh, how do you use a Bitmoji? How do you add buttons to Schoology? I just Googled it. Amazing YouTube videos come up, and they taught me what to do. The next thing I want to tell you is that I just kind of bombarded you with a lot of resources, and I don't want you leaving with your head spinning. You don't need every single digital resource that's out there. Just like you don't have every Uno deck that's out there. Like I don't have Minecraft Uno and Emotions Uno, and well, I might, but you don't need every Uno deck that's out there. You don't need every digital tool. Think about your kids, find 1 or 2 activities, and then grade them up and down. Just know that there's a ton of stuff out there that you can pick from, but you don't need to pick from everything. Have your tabs open before your session and your personal tabs closed so that when you share your screen, you can just click on the tab. So if you are wanting to do a Boom deck and a Google slide, you'll have them both open. You can just click and then you'll be done with it. If the kids start to lose interest, do a brain break with them. And it could be just you talking, or you could have a video up. It's just really whatever works for you. And just know that what you're doing now is the same thing that you're doing in your classroom, if you have one, or in your closet. It's just that now you have a computer between you and your student, but everything else is the same. You guys can do this. And like Maya says, you got it. So I'm going to stop to share, and we can go for open discussion and collaboration, if that's where we want to go next.
Sounds perfect. Has anyone else used Boom cards, or is everybody here, like, is this the first time you've heard of it, or has anybody had any experience with it? Oh, Mary, you're the pioneer.
Oh, Teresa and everybody, I just want to tell you that the slideshow with all the links, the URL for it is in the EdCamp handout, and you can just copy it, paste it into your web browser, and then go to get your own handout. it'll show up as, do you want to make a copy of this? And you'll click on the word copy and it'll be.
Thanks for sharing that, Mary. We definitely wanted to make any of this stuff available for everybody. Thank you so much for putting that piece together.
I also put it on the SSD site, Teresa, under technology.
Awesome.
I uploaded it.
Does anybody have any questions or comments they want to share with Mary while we have her here in a large group format? We're getting lots of thanks coming through. Thank you, thank you, thank yous. It's wonderful. You rock.
Mary, I guess I know you've been doing private, so that kind of, obviously, I've been on summer break, so I'm like, okay, I'll face this when I get there. But like, so with your therapy sessions, you kind of had like Google Slides for each one with your plan, or because we're preschool, so I mean.
Yeah, no, I have like one Google slide, and then I would change a little bit of it for like the kiddos with autism that weren't at the same level as my other kiddos. So every week I have one theme. So the first week of school, I'm doing back to school. The second week of school, I'm doing fall. And I would go through the slides with them. So Google Slides, but now I've changed it to doing it like going through the boom cards with them because now I know how to make them. Google Slides are a lot easier to make. And there's a video in there. Not that boom cards are hard, it just takes a minute to figure it out. But there's a video in there on how to create a Google slide if you guys aren't familiar. And I would just have one slide. You could have one slideshow and then not show every slide. So if you want to create one slideshow, make it interactive, and know that you're not going to show slides 3, 4, and 5 to the kiddos who are on a different level. And slides are fun. They're super easy to make, and the kids love them. They're like, oh, this is so cute. So you can put your Bitmoji all over it. You can add video to it. They're really fun.
We're going to have another session on that. We'll have another ed camp that we'll like talk about some of the other Google things that'll be available.
Yeah, can I just tell you really quickly, for the Google Slides, you guys, this is just a helpful hint I got from one of my YouTube videos when I wasn't able to vacation this summer, but it's fine. Okay. Slides Mania is a website where you can download slides for free, and you can download them in a PowerPoint format or in a Google Slide format. So slidesmania.com, and they have really fun ones. Like they have a movie theater, they have Toy Story, so I would download it as my starting point, and I would delete the slides I didn't need and add to them what I wanted to add to them.
So, okay, one more. So if you did that Google slide, then now with the boom cards, you would just put the boom card link on the Google slide? Or just share your screen? You
would share your screen. My answer now is different than what it might be because I'm going to research that a little bit. I've got it on my list of things to do. But I would share my screen, have my tab up for my Google Slides, and then have a second tab up for my boom cards. So when you're sharing screen with your kiddos, you can have 7 tabs up and just go between all the tabs. You don't have to have it all on a Google slide, but I'm going to try to find out if you can have it on a Google slide. So I'll get back with you on adding the URL from boom cards to your Google slide.
Katie or whoever asked, I think it was Katie, whatever. The advantage since it's a URL, I would think you can put that link on your slide. That if you were providing an asynchronous activity, because some of our families, maybe you're providing information to pre-teach something, like maybe you're releasing it at the beginning of the week and you're not having your live session with them until later in the week. Maybe you're hoping that it's available and they might have reviewed something, or you want them to practice something as homework afterwards. That's why the link might be helpful to have on the slide if you want them to be able to access it on their own at some alternate time.
To add to that, I forgot, I didn't really, it's in there, but you can assign the cards to students. So they can go into, like you set up a little classroom, and then they each can just log in and do boom cards from the classroom. There's a video in Boom Learning that teaches you exactly how to do it. It's super easy. So you set up your classroom, you assign your students, and then you click on the decks you want them to do. So that would work for asynchronous learning too, is having the boom cards available for later on.
I'm impressed with, honestly, the amount of things that run the free library for, if I was just getting started. Yeah. I know nothing about anything to do with boom cards, and so I'm pretty excited to go look and just see all the freebies.
Yeah, there's a ton of, you don't have to spend money. Like there are a ton of free ones that are absolutely appropriate for use in our sessions.
This is super exciting.
I'm see, this is why it's fine, because I love creating and I loved finding out all this information and then sharing it. Like it gets me excited.
Well, I think you've got a lot of other people excited too, hopefully.
Mary Ellen wants to know about how to gather data. If you're using boom cards, there is a component where you can gather data based on their responses. I probably during teletherapy am going to do something with my .cam and have them like write 3 sentences, have mom take a picture of it. I'm not really sure. I haven't gotten to that point yet. If I find something better in my head, I will share that. I wrote it down.
I think when you think about data, I was going to end up doing an ed camp. I am doing an ed camp that's going to talk a little bit about Google Forms, but you maybe perhaps could have a Google Form follow-up or quiz or something that accompanies your lesson you had that maybe that a student's going to interact with and provide some feedback or take a little test or quiz over something they've been presented, or maybe it's just the way that they're going to provide feedback to you, because the power of that Google Form is that it does populate a spreadsheet for you, so you can, that might be a really quick way to collect something also.
Yeah, and it gives a little chart too. Like the Google Form will give you a little chart with the, yeah. Okay, that's a good idea, Trace. I like that. I'm writing it down. Does anybody else have anything you want to share or ask questions about? I hope it wasn't, I don't want you to be confused. I want you to know that you can totally do this and just pick 2 or 3 things that you want to do virtually and just go with those. You don't need 27 things like I shared with you. And the one thing I use now all the time are boom cards.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Mary.
Thanks. Bye, everybody. Email me if you need anything.